Hey, how you doing? How you doing? This is Pastor David Marcel. I'm going to talk to you about this subject. This is what I'm talking to you about, and hopefully I got everything right because we understand this is a subject that is super sensitive. When people are talking about racism and people are talking about and everything that has to do with race, it's so sensitive. And for me, as I know it's a hot topic, for the age, I say for the moment, I decided to take the risk to talk about race because we understand that so many people, more especially a minister in the church, they try to stay away from the subject because they know from the that people may use it as a trap and as so many things that are not necessary just to make a big deal, to make you look bad, to make you feel bad, because you talk about race. With a lot of people with churches don't want to talk about that because they don't want any members of their congregation to get offended and to leave the church. And as a matter of fact, that so many things that are going on in this generation that we're supposed to dip our fingers into it, to talk about what is the real issue of society. Ministers and the church stay away from those subjects because they don't want to offend nobody. Even it's not an offendable subject, but because it, it is a super sensitive subject, you may be talking about that raised subject with the right intention, yet people just don't want to listen to it. If you say anything that relate to race, and all of a sudden they gonna start to call you racist. They gonna start to call you this. They gonna start to call you that, just because they do not know exactly what is the meaning of racism, what is the meaning of race. And but today, Pastor David Marcelli, I'm taking this risk because I know it's a high risk to talk to you about the subject, okay? Because I know it's a high risk to talk to you about this subject. What is racism? What is racist? Is racist good or bad? I know a lot of you want to make any comment. Please do not make it based on your past experience because I know a lot of you have been a victim of what you call racism. But I'm just going to try to break it down in three different categories. And I'm going to tell you a result for this first three category, and I'm going to give you a final result. And for the concept of racism in its entirety, to understand that at the end of this conversation, you will understand that you are probably a part of those who participate in what we call racism. Uh, though you categorize racism in just one part of it, of what it is. But as a matter of fact, there's so many of us, we have to understand that we have practiced racism um, every day in a daily basis. It's not a question of black or white, okay? It's a question of race. And tell me how many race you have on this planet Earth. It's a question of race. And most of the time that people are taking the excuse of a religion and to categorize and segregate people, congregate their own people. Um, but this is not this is not the issue. This is not the issue. This is not what we're talking about. What I'm talking to you about is these three category that I'm going to start with you. The first one is there is race. There is a racist that will be considered who will be willing to contribute just to his race. Okay, just to his race. Somebody who will be willing just to contribute just to his race. I'm just trying to give you this, and so that you may understand what I'm talking to you about. If somebody decided to contribute or to marry a woman to an a specific race because that person happened to be a white, a black, a Hispanic, Asian, African, whoever the person is, Middle Eastern is this is a man-made name. That's the reason why I don't like to use Middle Eastern. I like to use Africa. And whoever you are, whatever the race is, I believe the first part of racist is not. It doesn't sound bad, and the second part of racist it doesn't sound bad, and it's not bad. But at the end result, I'm going to tell you what racism is really about. Third part is the worst part ever. Why do I have to say it this way? What is racism? Because when we take racism, the first part of racism is when we call somebody who is trying to work toward the growth of his own race. Do you understand? If somebody's working toward the growth of his own race. Why do I say that? Because if you are a part of a small population and you understand that I don't have any problem that there are other races occupying the same land, the same city, the same country, but because it's somehow for the community reason that may be that may be given a certain level of consideration by the state or by the government, and I am now a victim because my community is not strong enough for a good representation, then I have to work on my community. If you work on your community growth, and it will be the first step is for you to marry somebody who is a part of your own race in order for y'all to have that race grow in numbers, and then it will be having a voice, enough voice for the government, for the state to hear, and you will be strong in that community since you are now started to grow. This is the first part of it. The first part of it is when somebody is willing to participate in marrying somebody of the same race, and then because you have a purpose for that race to grow in numbers so that you can have the benefit of anything that is and that is actually placing available and availability for group of races. But if you are alone, if you're just a couple of people that you will have to merge to other people to be recognized by the government, I believe this is the weakness of what you call a community. And this is the first part of race. This is it. When you are, again, willing to participate in your own race, to get married in your own race, and then to allow this race to grow just for a specific reason that you may have a strong community, and that community that will invest and that will invest, that will know each other, that will continue with the culture. uh, More specifically, if a particular race that is a minority, have a cultural misunderstanding by other races, and they feel somehow, kind of inferior, so they working on their own race to multiply. They marrying their own woman, their own women to multiply. They marry their own man to multiply. That's why you say black with black. That's why you say Chinese with Chinese. That's why you say the European with European. That's why you say the Scottish with the Scottish, the Hispanic with the Hispanic, the African with the African. So that's why you say the Caribbeans with the Caribbean, is because there's a cultural misunderstanding, and most of the time that people who don't speak a common language and will kind of congregate together because they are most likely, they understand each other, and not talking about the language part only, but the culture. part if you are not growing to a multicultural understanding to be able to merge with another race. Now, this is one of the things that I want to talk to you about that is really important. That is the first part of racism. When somebody is having a purpose or an objective to grow his race, and I believe there is nothing wrong with that. In my own opinion, please don't say, "Oh, you stupid, you this, you that, and you're racist." No, 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 don't say that. Try to understand that everybody do it. This part of racism, I will consider that the majority of people living here in the United States that congregate together, they are racist. I'll say it again. I didn't stutter. I said the majority of people in the first level of racism I just give you, in the first level of racism I just given you right now, the majority are racist. Because uh, if you decide to go and uh, get married with just your own women, with just your own man, you're racist. Is it wrong? No, it's not. Because you stick into your own people. You call them your own people. Okay? You call them your own people. Is it wrong? No, it's not. If Haitian people from Haiti, they just congregate with their own people, is racist. Is people from Europe, they congregate with their own people, is racist. If people from China congregate with their own people, is racist. Racist is just like mean you are saxophonist, you are trumpetist, whatever it is. It's what you do that makes you it. East. Okay, so um, anyone who's from any place, okay, even white, black, even Asian, even Latino, if they are all congregate with your own people, you are racist. Okay, so I'm telling you that after this conversation, you will determine whether you're racist or not. Because the word racist is has been misinterpreted by the mainstream and by the mainstream media because they don't want you to know what sometimes I'm not saying all the time, sometimes they don't want you to know what the real um, 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 even sometimes the government are misinterpreting what is racist because they don't want you to know the truth about racist, and you take it the wrong way for political reason when they're running against another and they use it a way that is not making sense. But the first part I'm giving you right now is racist. When you congregate with your people, is racist. Okay, but for me, is something wrong about the first part of racist? No, nothing is wrong with it. Okay, nothing is wrong with the first part of racist. If you see the degradation of your own race, and it's normal for you to say, "I'm going to stick to my own race because I want to multiply." You understand? Um, the second part of racist is when it's a race by choice. Uh, Racist doesn't simply mean that because I'm a black man, I'm sticking to another black woman. I'm sticking to a black woman and just to grow my race. This is the first part of racist. But the second part of racist is if you targeting a woman that like if you are a white man, okay, you say I'm not going to get married a white woman. I'm not going to get married a Latina woman, but I'm going to get married a black woman. You're a racist because you make a choice. This is a race I am going to contribute into. This is a race is not toward your own race, not for the benefit of your own race, but the benefit of another race that will contribute to something that you call nowadays the the brown race. This is another way to say black. I am not saying that, but a lot of people. This the third one I'm going to give you later on, after I finish with this second part, is is the one that's not good and that's not accepted at all in this conversation. But they are the one who will consider. somebody else, somebody something else, and that will cause them to go and the extremity of their reaction, responding to what has been thrown onto them, and that's the reason why there's so many division. And when you see now, for the second part, when you see that a white man now get married, say, okay, I'm not getting married a black man, but I'm just going to get Latino. So when you see a Chinese say that a Chinese girl says, "Oh, I love black men," because as they usually say, that Chinese and white, Chinese Latino and a white woman always love black men. But what I'm trying to say, if even if it's not your own race, but even if it's another race that you target, when the Indian come, you say, "I don't love Indian." When the Chinese come, you say, "I don't love Chinese." When Hispanic come, you say, "I don't love Hispanic." And they say, who do you love? You say, "Oh, I'm a white man, but I love black women." Or you say, "I'm a white I'm a white woman. I love Latino men." If you say that, which means that there is no way you will consider married any other race but that specific race. Uh, but that specific race that is not a part of your race. Even it's not of your own race, but if you target that specific race, you still racist. You understand? You are racist. You are willing to contribute to a specific race. That's the reason why in some home you see some parents are racist, but the children are not. Some parents will always have their own preference toward who in order to get married. You're my daughter. You're supposed to get married another white man because you're a white girl. But the daughter said, "I don't have a problem marrying a white man, and I don't have a problem marrying a black man. I don't have a problem marrying a Latino man. I don't have a problem marrying a European man, as the white people are from Europe." And but if she's open to anyone and she doesn't have a problem, and the mom will have a preference who a reference who they're supposed to be married with, and that this is the choice of the parents. So the parents are racist when she's not. The parents are racist when he because he's open to anybody who comes. When the parents want him to congregate with their own people. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, is that you have to know. Okay, I want to let you know this. You have to know that if you have the mindset to marry your own race, it's racist. And if you have your mindset and target a specific race, not even yours, not even this, not that, that specific woman that you want to get married is racist. The one that is not racist, I'm going to tell you when you're not racist. When you're not racist is the example I just give you. Is when you are open to everyone. If you open to everyone, whoever come talk to you, you fall in love with the person. You don't look at the color of the person. You don't look at the accent of the person. You don't look at all these things at the person. Just you fall in love with the person, and you marry the person. Unconditional love, and both of y'all, you understand that you are not racist because you know that whoever God has for me, this is the person I'm going to get married with. And then when the person come along, you get married with the person, and it will easy for you if you are not racist, like you're open to everybody. Racist, and it will be easy for you to determine who is racist or not. Um, uh, when your friends started to come over and say that, "Oh, this and that," okay, you're a white woman, "Oh, he's a black man," okay, no problem. Well, who's his parent? Where his parent coming from? And all these questions are starting to fly uh, from the middle of nowhere, and you understand that your friend is racist because if it was another white person, or if it was another, if you are an Indian, if it was another Indian person, that um, it will be it will not be so many questions. You wouldn't have to go through you know to pass a test, to take an exam. You wouldn't have to go file an application in order for you to pass this test with your friends. And it is easy for you to determine if your friends are racist or not. Okay, so I give you the first part, that is when somebody, you will have uh, when somebody has an objective to uh, actually grow. Okay, somebody is having an objective to actually grow. He's grow the number of his population and to marry his own. If he's a black man, he marry a black man. If it's a Latino, he marry a Latino. If it's a Chinese, marry another Chinese. If it's a whoever, he marry another of the same race that he is. This is this, though it might be toward a specific purpose to grow your community, to create some kind of strength in your community. This is not bad. This is not bad, but it just being presented in the circumstances when the let me continue. It is not bad, but sometimes it just being presented, okay, in a circumstance, and when you're really low, okay, when you're really low in numbers of your own people, and then you decide this is what we're going to do as a community and to enable our race to grow. Okay, this is a part for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. The second part I give you is somebody who is because he target a specific person. They say, "Oh, I'm a Asian man, but I would like to marry a Hispanic." You understand? Or I'm an Indian. I would like to marry somebody from Africa. Do you understand? So when you're like that, you say you would like to marry somebody from Africa. Even everybody else come to you, you will not even have any consideration toward them, and because you target African women, it just simply means you're racist. But that racist what is the purpose of that racism? It contribute to have brown babies. You understand? Or a mulat, how are you saying when you're mulattoes, you are both a different nation. Um, this is also racist. When you somebody who's not your own race from a different race, you're not going to have anybody else in consideration but that specific girl or that specific guy. Um, but the third part I'll tell you about who is not racist. Who is not racist is somebody who is open to anyone. Okay, somebody who is open to anyone, who will not congregate with a specific person because this is what I have in my choice that I prepaid for. This is what I had in my mind since I was growing up. This is what my parent has suggested to me. But but I'm open to everybody. Whoever God sent to me, I'm going to be with the person. Do you understand? This is not racist. If you are first two example I give you, you're racist. If you are the person who open to anybody who come, who anybody got sent to you, if you're a black man, you will accept a white woman. If you're a black man, you will accept an Indian, an Asian. You will accept a Latino. You will accept the Hispanic. You will accept the European. You will accept whoever. You understand? Because because you're open to everybody. This is not racist. But I'm going to tell you what is the fourth part. I'll tell you the three different category, but in the fourth part, I got a fourth different one. That is the bad of racism, and that is the reason why I'm talking about this subject because it's the hottest topic. Even on the media, people will talk about racist, but most of the time we politicize racism, and we don't really know what racism is. And I'm going to give you the end word of the entire category I just give you right now, but I have to give you the fourth category first. The fourth category is the worst. The worst of is a bad one. Okay, it's a bad one. The bad one, the first one may be standing for the first category is race. to marry your own girl because you want to grow your own population. The second one is to marry that specific girl because you target that specific girl, or you've been referring to that specific girl because she cook a certain way, she decent a certain way, and she will not disrespect her person, you as a husband. She was not raised in a liberal mind, but she was raised a certain way that respect that you're supposed to have for a husband and the respect that you're supposed to have for your wife, and vice versa. But at the same time, the third one I told you is someone who opens to everybody. Who is he's the only the third one is the only one who's not racist. Okay, the only one is not racist. Um, Before I give you the fourth one, we understand that most of the people that are from other countries of Middle Eastern and the Islamic countries and even some of the Christian countries, they got their own religious reason that they are not going to congregate to anyone. When I'm talking about anyone, there has nothing to do with racism, because even when the person is my um, own race, is a beautiful woman, is a beautiful black woman, but just because she's not Christian, in my own faith, I am not supposed to get married to that person because there will be division in the house. So I touched this point because I know that I have been asked this question before. So that's the reason why I touched this point, to get rid of it, of any question that you may have in the future, or post under my page. Okay. But if somebody have a religious excuse uh, to to create race, for me is the worst excuse ever, that you're gonna put a burden in your life. If you don't want to get married a white man, a white woman, or if a white woman doesn't want to marry an Indian, please don't use race. Don't say that. Please don't use religion. Don't say because you're Christian. Da, da, da. And after that, um, you'll be married somebody who is not Christian, just because you use it to you use religion to manipulate uh, racial aspect of a person. For me, if you are not married a different religion, you're not supposed to marry a person who, just because the person is another race, another color. Okay, I'm talking about race. I'm not even talking about color, because color is a disease. Anybody who got a problem with this color, this race, this black, this no. I'm talking about race. Okay, but it involves color somehow. But we have to understand that it's not always the case. My own conversation today that has to do with race, I give you these 3 points, and I open that bridge that I'm opening when somebody use religion to excuse their own stupidity and congregate race together. People say that, okay, I'm a white woman, but he's a black man. My parents doesn't want me to marry a black man, yet I'm going to present my religion as an excuse to say that, I'm a Christian, but you're not a Christian, so I can't marry you. And when the black man say, "Oh, okay, probably because I'm black." No, it's not because I'm black. This is the black man reflection right here. Oh, it's not because I'm black, because because he doesn't marry a non-Christian. And 2 days later, she married a non-believer that is a white man. What do you think the black man's going to think? Or 2 days later, she married an Indian man. What do you think the Latino man is going to think? 2 days later, that she married that Hispanic lady married, an Asian guy. What do you think that other man is going to think? Don't use religion to congregate people in your own race. This is going to bring a spiritual weight over you, because you cannot lie to God. Okay, do not say that, oh, he's a Muslim, he cannot marry a non-believer. He's this, he cannot marry. So let me continue. Do not use that as an excuse. is completely ridiculous. I want you to understand that you have to be honest in everything that you do. The fourth part is the worst part, okay? The fourth part is the worst part. Is somebody who is racist, um, and you actually label these races with um, discrimination, okay? Racist becomes discrimination when you stop labeling people with racism, but when you start labeling institutions, governments, school, job, promotion, promotion, all these things. Racism becomes discrimination when you labeling things, or when uh, you labeling an office. It becomes discrimination because there is no office in this world that has a nationality. There is no office, there is no institution in this world that has a color. There is no government in this world that has a race. Racist becomes a discrimination when we stop labeling people with it and we start labeling the office of us with it. Because if you try to congregate, I don't have no problem, because there's some people that are not trying to congregate that can marry me, that can marry him, that can marry her. You understand? But at the time that you say, oh, this is my own race, so I'm going to take my that race label and put it on the job, put it on the hospital. Everyone who goes in the hospital to try to find a job that is not your own race, you see what you're going to do? You're going to send them to housekeeping. But you're never going to give them a director job, even when they had the qualification. Or if you see that they're not coming for that specific job that is housekeeping, you're probably going to refuse their application because you know that this is some other race that is even beyond educated than you are, and you decide that you're going to turn them down just because you want to fill that institution with your own race. Then you have been faltered by actually segregate and congregate your own people in that specific institution, because you're labeling not just the people that you congregate into one place, but that office that you occupy, because the office was not supposed to be of any race, color, language, accent, or culture. That office occupies something. Imagine that the hospital occupies just one single thing. The hospital speak just one language. The language that hospitals speak is to take care of people. It doesn't matter who works in the hospital, as long as the hospital is doing what is necessary. It doesn't matter what is going on in the restaurant, as long as the restaurant responded to what is required to feed people, to make sure that they eat the best food, that they will come back again. Do you understand? To give good service. Everywhere that you go, people will talk about customer service. What is your customer service when you're trying to put the label of race in an organization? When you put label of race on your people, it just simply means that I'm just going to just stick into my own race. I'm just going to stick into my own race. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you take it, and if you don't want to be with a white man as a black man, if you don't want to be with the Asian man as a Latino man, I think my camera froze a little bit. Yeah, okay, 1 second. 1 second, and I'm gonna continue this conversation with you. Okay, let me just clear a couple of things here. Okay, hopefully everything is good now. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is whatever that is going on, you try to, if you don't want to try to if you don't want to get married that person or this person that person, there are plenty of the same race that will be open to get married, you or him or her. But as long when you start taking the label of race and place it on an office, on an institution, on an organization, in a religion, then it becomes you know, discrimination. Okay, it becomes discrimination when you taking the label of race and put it in an institution and a church and a religion. I would say in an institution or organization, it becomes discrimination. So we, with the fourth part, whatever label, the label of race and put an institution and put it in the government is the most effective part that is existing in the United States nowadays. So that's the reason why I want you to be very careful with what is going on. Okay, with what is going on. I'm about to close, but before I close, I'm going to give you the final result before I close because keeps on freezing. But I am going to give you this part. I give you the first part, people who congregate among themselves for the purpose of having a stronger community. The second part, somebody who target a specific, somebody who target a specific race. Even when your parents saying that I don't want this man for you, I don't want that man for you, most of the time you think that your parents doesn't want something for you for a reason or doesn't want these things for you for a reason is because the parent wants somebody who has career, somebody that can take care of you, but it's not somebody who's racist don't care about no career. They just want you to get married your own race. Okay, but if you open, be open, because the only person who's not racist in this country is somebody who's open to marry anybody. Yet, I am not saying that if you stick in your own race because you have a weakness in community, you want to grow in numbers, I'm not saying it's wrong either. And if you want to stick to a specific person, I'm not saying it's wrong either, but you're not going to be able to contribute to your own race. You're just contributing to another race to make another version of a black people that they call the brown people. Imagine that they don't even talk about no white, no black, no Hispanic, and they talk about that the future of this country is brown people. So they basically talk about there's going to be the majority mixed people living in this country, which I don't have any problem. I love when people live together. Okay. The fourth part, the third part was the one who's not racist at all, the one who's not racist, the one who's open to get married anyone. The fourth part is the one is the majority of what we are seeing here in the United States. Because if you are a government and people saying that, oh, young black men are being killed in the street, and you don't say anything and say and you say no, it's okay for it's okay for this person to get shot by police all the time, but the other one, no, don't touch them because they part of us, they same color with us, they this, they that. Do you understand? So I believe that it's it's placed the label of race upon the institution of the police department. It becomes discrimination. So whenever you take racism, the racist label, and put it in something that is not an individual, it becomes discrimination. When you put it when you put it on somebody that is your own, you're saying that I'm targeting the person. He's not my own race, but I want to get married that woman. I want to get married that man because I know that people think like that. It means that you're targeting that specific person you're going to get married with, that is specific race. You understand? If you're targeting your own people, it means it's still racist also, right? But you just try to contribute to your own race. It's racist too. If you're talking to somebody who's not your race, that specific person is racist. The only one who's not racist is the one that is open to anyone that comes. Anyone that God sent on their way, they would not have any problem getting into marriage with that person. Okay. Um, the third part, the fourth part, I'll tell you, this is the most popular racism in the United States, is the bad part. Bad part is the people that are taking the racist agenda the racist label and put it on institution to affect people's community, to segregate people in different places. And some places are being taken care of. Everything is good. Everything's free. And other places people are given a hard time and making life harder for them. So I believe that this has to change. I believe that this has to change. And the families and every individual in the government and school and institution down the street, these has to and the ghetto and the project and the big house, and you understand, these things has to be changed. And if it's not, I believe that it's not going to be a good result that's going to come out of it. And when this group is not powerful anymore, and another one is becoming more powerful, since we know this inevitably is going to come, and the other group that is going to be the future one to be raised in power or to go to power will actually mistreat the one by whom they used to be mistreat before, the one which used to mistreat them before. So I want you to understand that when I look at the uh, with the analysis of all the race, even when you have a reason to congregate with your own, or when you have a reason to congregate with a specific one that is not your own, or even when you will take this racist solution, make life harder for everybody else but your own, they are all wrong. Because when we understand that we are living in one earth, we put borders on the earth, and saying that this is the part of my country, this is the part of my country, you're not allowed to come in here, you're not allowed to come in here, and try to push everybody away from me. Part of the ignorance of that we experience from each other on this in this life. For me, it doesn't make sense. It's something that needs to be corrected. And most of the time, we know that it's something that needs to be brought about to a correction. We just don't want to do it, just because there's certain privilege that has been placed available. But we have to understand that if we all in the whole world put our resources together, decided to grow together, and everyone will equally have the privilege, not just a group, a handful of people, not just one race, but if we all enjoy the privilege of the earth and live together in peace and harmony as brothers and sisters, I believe that this is when uh, we are going to uh, we're going to say toward our destiny as a human race, but not as particular group of people and just one little part of this earth. Uh, I believe that a lot of people uses religion to, uh, you know, talk about what is the superior race and what is the inferior. Is there any superior race or not? If there any inferior race or not? Uh, but when Jesus is talking about his elect, Jesus is Jesus actually is talking about he's elect. He's the one who's going to do his own thing. I believe it's something that most likely relate to spiritual standard, and than what we are fighting over on this planet Earth. That is the division between colors, between race, between accent, between country, between where you from. If it's rich, if it's poor. If it's rich, we're gonna take you. And here, if you're from Norway, but if you're from Haiti, you are. You understand? For me, it's just the ignorance of man that is talking right now. But there's no maturity, and this kind of talk. So I want you to understand: is racism is good or bad? As a whole, racism is bad. Okay, as a whole, racism is bad. Um, because as long as we keep on congregate our own people, there will always be division. There will always be division because you will just have the tendency to protect your own, but you will not be a good Samaritan toward the other. You understand? You will congregate between your own people because you want your own people to have strength as a community, as a whole. And when they have strength and have a certain level of consideration, um, uh, by the government, then they will have the benefit that will be for your specific people, but that will not benefit another group of people that is not your own, or that is less popular than your own race, and that will cause you to be more dominant and to occupy more business in the area and to have a louder voice than every other community. So this is a part of what you call competition, and in competition, things don't. So I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking to you for a while. I'm going to close. I want you to. I wanted to let you know: is racism good or bad? Racism is not good because if I believe in community. I'm still believing in having a community. But at the end of the day, you realize that we are all living on one earth. Okay, we are all living on one earth. It's really hard for us uh, um, to make a breakthrough in a national territory because we need to break a community. We need to make a breakthrough in community before we can make a breakthrough in our society and talk about the country, and before we can make a breakthrough on the entire globe. Okay, so we need to work on this very hard, because we understand that this is a part of division, and division is not what God intended for us to have. A lot of people may come with the story of the Tower of Babel, and next time I'm probably going to have this specific video to tell you what the Tower of Babel was really about. Since this subject about racism is being so difficult to be discussed, or to be talked about, to be discussed, and to be presented by people in the church, because they don't want to touch this subject. All what they doing is they don't want people to think that they talking bad about them. They talk bad about race. Even however they change the subject, that people are gonna get offended anyway. So they just don't want to get mixed up into this conversation. For me, that is a really bad job to somebody who call themselves a leader, because if you are a leader, whatever there is uh, uh, that is traumatizing the society, everybody expects you to receive a revelation from God, to bring the word of God to this condition that is being presented, and so that you may understand that what God wants, it will actually put in defeat what man is doing. Because if God gives you a revelation, you'll be able to speak this revelation, and you will be able to actually tell the people this is what God wants, or this is what God doesn't want. And then the people will know what to do. But if we are a leader, even a leader in the city, a leader in the country, a leader in the church, a leader in the community, you have to be wise enough. And I believe that God has given me, put it on my heart, and with these kind words, to be able to invite all of y'all to come together as a people. We understand that so many religions out there come with their own, with their own aspect of superiority, and in terms of a racial superiority. But at the end of the day, God has not give us the Bible and told us that this is a superior race. God never said that. God never said anything like that. But God knows that when is the beginning of something, when is the ending of something else. And so that's the reason why we are all here. We were born the same way, and we're going to die the same way. So if you were superior, I don't think that your birth will be the same way. I don't think your death will be the same. I don't think your birth was the same way, or your death will be different. I don't think Your birth uh, uh, and it was the same way, and your death will be the same way. Okay, sorry about the stutter. But what I think, if you were a superior race, I think that you will be born differently, or you will just come down from heaven, uh, and you will not die. The only person who gives is the person who come to be like us, who was born uh, and the flesh. In 240 and two generation he came, and the flesh, and die just like everybody else. When he raised from the dead, it tells you that you are not different from the other ones, but because of me. If you follow me, I am going to make you different. So the difference that we're looking for, it is not not to be a human, but it's to be a holy creation of God. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is all races, all racism is wrong. All racism is wrong. All racism is wrong. The only good part I consider, if you stay open to anybody, if you stay open to anybody, for religious reason, if you're following the Bible, I am with you if you don't accept to be in a relationship with somebody who's not a Christian. Okay, I agree because the Bible says so. God says so. But don't use religion to manipulate to manipulate emotion in order for you to congregate a specific race. I want you to understand God is watching everything that is going on in terms of manipulation, in terms of misuse, in terms of abuse. And so, because all what you're doing is create anxiety and it's create panic among people. If you're a government, I want you to just to understand we are living on one planet. You are the president of a country occupying by multiple nation, and that was supposed to be equally right given country, right given in the same country. So it's the same way that you have to understand you're the president. You have to take care of everybody equally, not taking care of one group and giving privileges to one group and ignore the other one. So we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we have to come together to destroy this division, because God called us not to be divided. And when he gives the gospel, he says, you go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the uttermost part of this earth. And to the uttermost part of this earth. When he says that, it means that in the gospel, there is no prejudice. There is no racism. I want to tell you again, if you are a racist, you are a racist. If you are open to everybody, you're not a racist. If you target a specific person to get married with from a specific race, you are a racist. If you target your own particular woman and man in your own race, you are a racist. If you don't target anybody, you're waiting on got anyone that you fall in love with and you get married, you are not a racist. But as soon as you take the label of racist, that it was supposed to be for people, and put it on an institution or on an organization and on a government, on an office, on a job, then it becomes discrimination. If you have more questions, you can call me or text me at 973-855-2396, 973-855-2396, or you can call me or you can text me at YODEBEPRO at gmail.com. Okay, so I'm going to be able to answer your question and even more if you want to get more information. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Pastor David Marcel. I take these to talk to you about, because I know a lot of people are going to agree, a lot of y'all going to disagree, and a lot of y'all probably even going to insult me for starting this conversation, since we know this is the most sensitive subject ever to discuss in this country, more particularly when that specific race is going through hell and hot water in this country. So I want to let you know that as a pastor, I take the initiative to talk up to you about the subject, since every other pastors just close their mouth and not saying anything just because they don't want anybody in the congregation to get offended, even when they don't mean it to be a wrong thing to be spoken of. But people will always have the wrong tendency about what the conversation is about. But I want to let you know that my intention for this conversation is to have a balanced comprehension, since this racism thing is the hottest topic in this country, so somebody have to talk about it. Gotta let you know that I love everybody, but I just want to bring to your attention what racism is, and I want to bring to your attention how you're supposed to be in order for y'all not to be a part, not to partake in that racism uh, uh, aspect that is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Pastor David Marcel. I want you to stay with the peace of God, stay with the blessings of God. Now, may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, give you peace. Be blessed today. I'm Pastor David Marcel. Until then, see you next time. In Jesus' name.